What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? I am Harrison Graham, and we are live here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here on a Monday. Shout out to the real ones already hanging out in the chat. I got a busy show coming up, the latest news and rumors. We'll take your questions, and I'll break down some trade candidates as well. But we'll start as we always do. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are watching from. We got producer Sam back hanging out with us. Sam, how was your weekend, my friend?
What's up? Nice, relaxed weekend. We went golfing together a few weeks ago, which was a disaster. And so now some nice time away. Kept it nice and light. Mother's Day, obviously, yesterday. Got to hang out with my mom, which was always a blast.
Nice.
And big sports weekend. Watching a lot of sports. Watching the Stars in Game 6
Game
on
7
Saturday.
tonight. Who you got?
It's a big night. I'm rocking my Stars gear. I'll pop the 2-cam up here in a sec, but. I've got to say the Stars. I mean, it'd be hard for me not to, but I'm also, I don't feel great. It's my first Game 7, I believe, since the Mavs completely obliterated the Suns in their own building last year.
Was it not Game 7 last year when the Stars lost, or was that Game 6?
They lost to the Flames. That was the same night. They had the Mavs Game 7 earlier in the night, and then the Stars Game 7 against the Flames later in the night. I remember that. They went 1-1.
Yeah. That's when Audie had like 60 saves.
Yes.
We'll see if he can deliver tonight. He's been hit and miss. Matt says Knoxville, Tennessee. We got Jared in Joplin, Missouri. Tony in Dallas. Taylor in Aberdeen, Washington. John Campo in Red Oak, Iowa. Tony says, how's the baby doing? Baby's doing great. First Mother's Day for my wife yesterday, so that was a special one for us. So that was good stuff. Lewis in Mexico. We got Dennis in Lee Summit. Josh and Gardner. We got William in Piedmont, Missouri. Let's see. Shout out your city in the chat. Someone says, I really want the Chiefs to bring back Frank Clark.
Call me crazy, Harrison. I think it's pronounced Piedmont.
Piedmont.
Not Piedmont.
Piedmont. Is that correct, William? Help us out here. Tony says go Stars, Sam, so there you go.
Hey, we're all in it together tonight.
Yeah.
We all hate the Kraken.
Can't lose to the Seattle Kraken.
There we go. I've got
Is this their first year or second?
Gears on. It's the second season for the Kraken in the NHL. So impressive that they've made it this far, but the run ends tonight. It ends tonight. It has to.
Poll question of the day. Should the Chiefs re-sign Frank Clark? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. If you guys haven't noticed, Chris Jones has been on the all-out attack to try and bring him back on social media. So William says yes, correct. So there you go, Piedmont. Okay, let's see. John says yes. William and Tony also say yes. Taylor Gant says yes. Lewis says no. Big time no. Y for yes and for no. 77% of the poll says yes. We'll see.
This feels like the story that you've just kind of have to hit the hammer on the head until it falls eventually.
Well, and if Chris Jones is going to tweet every day to bring his boy back, then we're going to keep talking about it. Let me ask you this, Sam. Who's more likely to return after getting cut by their team, Frank Clark or Zeke to the Cowboys? Because I can see both happening.
That's a good question. Man, at this point, I almost feel like it would be Frank Clark. Maybe it's just the fact that we've heard more about it in the last week. We haven't really heard a ton of news around Zeke. Jerry Jones said that he'd be open to bringing Zeke back, so it's a non-zero chance on both sides. I don't know. I think maybe I lean Frank Clark, but maybe that's just also because we've been hearing so much of it in the last 10 days.
Yeah, we'll see. Alex says yes. Tanner wants him back. Someone says I'd eat a baby if they re-sign Frank Clark. That's a little morbid, especially as a new-time dad, Joshua. So I don't know about that comment. Williams says Frank Clark more likely. Who doesn't want Frank Clark back? Bring back the Shark. We'll see. If it's cheap enough, I'm in, because they're already eating $7 million in dead cap by cutting him. So keep that in mind as well. All right, we're down to the Final Four in the NBA playoffs. Who's going to win the NBA Finals this year? Type LAL for the Lakers, DEN for the Nuggets. That's your Western Conference Finals. In the East, it's the Boston Celtics, type BOS, and the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, type MIA if you want the Heat. Who wins it all?
My future is officially been eliminated. Yep, I had the Sixers future to win it all. So that's no longer happening.
You fell into the trap.
I fell into the value play because the Celtics, I mean, the Heat were the ultra value
Well, how
play,
about
but no
Heat
one
now
realized
plus
it.
1,600 with 4 teams left?
I feel like it's pretty hard for them to get past Boston.
Is that just like a Vegas knows they're going to lose in like 5?
I think it's one of those things like Miami's had a hell of a run.
They've maxed out.
You know, they've maxed out.
Are they like, this is like the 15 seed that makes it to the Sweet 16 and it's like,
and
okay.
and then gets curb
it's
stomped.
over. Yeah. We'll see. Jimmy
So,
Butler gives them a chance.
I'm gonna go. Man, it's kind of
want the
tempting. It's kind of
Nuggets.
tempting to go Nuggets.
I
yeah.
want the Nuggets. That's what I want. Tony says,
screw it. I'm going Nuggets over Celtics.
let's go.
Let's ride.
Tony says Boston. Williams says Denver. Tony in there again. John says Boston. Ben says Denver. Mander says Lakers. So does Lewis. Jared going with the Miami Heat. Let us know who's winning the NBA Finals this year. Wayne says from St. Joseph, big fan since 1963. You've been a fan for 60 years. That's legendary, Wayne. Christopher says
Happy
Boston.
anniversary, Wayne.
Yeah, there you go. KC says Lakers. So I'll say this. It feels like it's anyone's game. Miami's definitely a distant fourth, but you never know. You never know. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Speaking of championships, who's the biggest threat to the Chiefs repeating as Super Bowl champs? Biggest threat in the entire league can be AFC, NFC. I'm still going to go Cincinnati because they've given the Chiefs the most trouble in the last couple of years. Obviously, they won the first 3 matchups head-to-head before the Chiefs got them last year in the playoffs. But you could go Eagles. Tony says Eagles. Williams says Bengals. I would go, if I had to rank it, I think I would go Bengals 1, Eagles 2, Bills 3, and then I don't know after that. I got to see how the Jets look with Aaron Rodgers.
I think
49ers.
I was going to say, I think the Niners round out the top 4.
If they have a quarterback situation figured out by the playoffs, who knows who their quarterback will be?
Probably that 4th team.
Cincinnati and Buffalo from Mander. Spags from Randolph. Hey, Spags had a nice little bounce back year last year. I thought he did a good job. Tony and William saying Bengals. So does John. John Lemon says Bills. The Bills have not proven to me that they can get over the hump in the playoffs. They haven't been able to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. They got drilled at home against Cincinnati in the playoffs last year. I don't know. The Bills are a threat, but I wouldn't say they're the biggest threat. Sean Payton on the Zaza might be crazy.
I can't wait to find out.
Bong Payton going to dial up. His offense could be just as creative as we've ever seen. Just Bong rips in the huddle, and then they're running triple reverse passes for touchdowns in Denver. Who knows? I wouldn't put Buffalo on that list. I mean, they're on the list. They're just not number 1 on the list. I think Cincinnati has earned to be the biggest threat to the Chiefs up to this point. It's hard to say Philly. They've only played once. Let's see how they play against the Chiefs in the regular season this year. If they come into Arrowhead and beat Kansas City in Week 11, it's like, okay, yeah, that could be a team you have to go through in the Super Bowl. So we'll see how that plays out. Mailbag later on, hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get your questions answered live. If you Super Chat, you can skip the line and get your question answered first. Otherwise, use the hashtag Chiefs. And being told early on here, we need some more questions. So use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat.
Real low on questions so far.
Yeah,
Grand total of 0.
Oh, man. We're that low.
Someone's going to get to be number 1.
Yeah, if we don't get enough questions here, we'll skip the mailbag. Sam and I will just go to happy hour today.
The Stars do play at 7 tonight.
Yeah, for once, the Stars play before, the game will end and it will still be today.
Yeah, exactly. I won't have to go directly to bed as soon as the game ends.
Are you going?
I'm going to try and go to a bar nearby in Victory Park.
And if they win, that could be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, just catch on the after party.
You could go to Jackson Street, whatever that place is, somewhere in AT&T Plaza.
Jackson Beer Garden.
AT&T Plaza area is fun for those. So
yeah, we're thinking Hero.
Got to get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably got to go straight there. The old friend group going to have to lock down a spot. All right, someone's got to go. Name a player the Chiefs should trade away. Who do you want the Chiefs to dump? It's like Love Island. Someone has to go. You guys know how it goes. If you haven't watched Love Island, great guilty pleasure show. By the way, summer's almost here, which means Summer Love Island is
new season.
Well, dude, what's glorious now is UK does a winter season now because they just go to like some island.
Yeah.
It's year round. It's year round coverage. You absolutely love to see it. Recon says Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So does William. John, that's a popular one. If you could trade CEH. Randolph asking a CEH question. So we'll get to that one probably in the mailbag as well. So name a player. Got to get rid of these yawns, Sammy. I'll be honest, guys. It was a rough night in the sleep department with the baby last night.
Harry's been really getting after it lately.
I didn't get a ton of sleep last night, but we're here. We're rallying.
Did I just hear thunder outside?
We're making it happen. Oh, is that a bad sign for the Stars? It's thundering in Dallas?
Oh, it is pissing rain now.
Oh, no. The Kraken have arrived.
Shit.
That's not a good sign.
That's the Seattle weather? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that thunderbolt was like a Kraken. I mean, that's not a good sign. All right, let's hop into today's show in a moment. But first, like the video. Once we get to 40 likes, we will jump into the latest Chiefs news and rumors. So hit that like button. We got 91 people. Got to double our likes here. Let's get to 40. Let us know once you've liked it, and I will give you guys a shout-out. Shout out to Tony Fuentes, who has liked the video. John Campo, you're doing hashtag Space Chiefs. Can't have a space between the hashtag and Chiefs. Got to be all one word, hashtag Chiefs. Otherwise, our software will not pick it up. So hit that like button. Let's go. Only got 22 likes. These are rookie numbers. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Lewis says the Jets are not. I'm not saying they are. I just think they're kind of a wild card. They could be a team that if Rodgers gets back to close to peak form, then that roster's pretty good. Although when they trade Quinnen Williams to the Chiefs, they're going to be in shambles. Kidding. That probably won't happen. But we're going to talk about it on today's show. 10 likes away. Let's get to 40 likes. Let's go. 7 away. I'm just going to scroll on Twitter till we get to 40. Mitchell Wren's tweeting. They just signed some. Oh,
he's tweeting something stupid.
They signed a former Patriots receiver. Because why not?
Who would have thought?
Christian Wilkerson.
The Raiders.
The Las Vegas Patriots.
The Raiders doing everything the Patriots did, just shittier.
Belichick and Brady aren't walking through that door, Josh. That's all.
Hey, there's 40 likes.
There we go. We're up to 40 likes. Like it if you haven't already. Here's what's coming up on the Chiefs Report Live. The latest Chiefs news and rumors. A lot of rumors circulating right now, so stay tuned for that. After that, we'll get into your mailbag questions. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. And then I got 5 Chiefs trade candidates, some players that they could move on from before week 1 of the NFL season. All of that and more is coming up here on the Chiefs Report. What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Harrison Graham here with another edition of the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, we're going to hit you guys with the latest Chiefs rumors. But before we hop into that, don't miss out. Don't miss out on any of the hottest rumors, news, everything circulating this team. Just because things have slowed down this offseason, we're kind of entering that dead period. We've still got a lot to cover. OTA is coming around the corner. We'll have mandatory minicamp in June. Lots of stuff to break down. Still some free agency stuff. So hit that sub button. We're going to have you covered all year long. Here's a juicy rumor that's out there. Dalvin Cook, could he be on the move, and could the Chiefs be interested? The Vikings are expected to move on from Cook, whether it's via trade or release. They, of course, traded Zadarius Smith last week, and could Kansas City be a team that is linked to Dalvin Cook? You look at his past 4 seasons here, and he's been pretty consistent right now. His last 2 years certainly weren't as good as 2020, but he's still solid. 4.4 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns, almost 1,200 yards rushing. Now, the average has dipped a bit. It's gone from 5.1 to 4.7 to 4.4. So I'm not going to sit here and say Dalvin Cook is a superstar running back at this point in time, but he's still pretty good. Now, here's the problem. Dalvin Cook's contract, if he gets traded, $11 million is what you'd have to take on the cap hit. So I got to think that if a trade were to get worked out, he's got to be taking a pay cut. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Like, cut that in half, 5.5, 6. I think that's probably more the realm of what he's worth at this point in his career. So if he wants to negotiate a trade and stay under contract and not have to get cut and sign a cheap deal, I think he's going to have to be willing to take a pay cut. Now, you look at the depth chart, doesn't make sense for the Chiefs. Ironically, my comp for Dalvin Cook on this roster is Isaiah Pacheco. I think they're very similar physical backs. Obviously, Cook's best days are probably behind him, whereas Pacheco's are probably ahead of him. You got Jarrett McKinnon as your scat back. You got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Deneric Prince. Now, as it sits, the Chiefs don't really need a running back. Now, could they flip Edwards-Helaire elsewhere and then take on Dalvin Cook if he took a pay cut? Maybe a Pacheco, Cook, a McKinnon trio would be interesting, but I'm still not sure it makes sense, even if it's at $5 or $6 million. Like, do you really need Dalvin Cook if you're Kansas City? Like, he can be a lead back somewhere. I don't think he'd be your lead back here, unless you just don't think Pacheco's ready for that. But second half of last year, he was ready for that, and I thought he handled it pretty well. So I don't see Kansas City being a fit. I've seen some rumors that maybe they'd be interested, but definitely not at the current price tag, and I'm not so sure even on a reduced price tag. Now, if he were to get cut, sign him for cheap, that's a different story because I think he's better than Edwards-Helaire. But beyond that, I'm not super interested. What do you guys think, though? Should the Chiefs trade for Dalvin Cook? Type T for trade or P for pass. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. Let me know what you guys think, T for trade or P for pass. Quinnen Williams trade rumors continue to circulate. We'll talk about that next here on the Chiefs Report. Williams and the Jets reportedly remain far apart on contract negotiations. You look at Quinnen Williams' bio, and, you know, athletes do this stuff, right? They wipe their Twitter, they wipe their Instagram, they change it, kind of send messages to the org they're with. Defensive tackle for blank. He's eliminating Jets from his social media life, if you will. He also sent another little message to New York with his latest retweet by pointing out the new contract that Dexter Lawrence received, which is 4 years and $90 million. There's another report out there that Quinnen Williams wants $25 to $30 million per year, which would top Jeffrey Simmons and what he got paid. So could the Chiefs be players for Quinnen? We'll talk about that here in just a second as well. But first, get yourself a new lid. These Chiefs draft hats that really can be worn all year long. They're not really draft-centric. I just think they're sweet hats. They came out for the draft, but I'm going to be rocking mine all year long. Chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. That is the link to go pick these up. Put that link in the comments and in the description. Different styles. You got the snapbacks, flat bills, curve bill style, whatever flavor is for you. Different color schemes as well. Chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. Use that link, click it. It's in the description and comments of the video. That way you can pick yourself up a brand new hat today. Now, if he gets his wish of getting $25 to $30 million per year, that makes him the second highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL. Now, Quinnen Williams is damn good, and this is kind of how it goes. Guys get paid. You want to top the next guy, but is he better than Jeffrey Simmons? Is he better than Daron Payne? I think he's definitely in that conversation. Now, you know who needs a new pay raise is Chris Jones, who's looking for an extension as well. He's better than a lot of the guys ahead of him, but, you sign when you sign, and people pass you. Quinnen Williams had 12 sacks last year, 28 QB hits. I mean, the guy's a stud, had a breakout year. He's currently slated to play out his rookie contract here in 2023. If you heard that in the background, we just had the loudest thunderbolt here in Dallas, Texas that we've had in quite a while. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe that's a sign that Brett Veach should or maybe should not trade for Quinnen Williams. Who the hell knows? But could you imagine pairing him with Chris Jones? I mean, that would be unbelievable just when you think about it from a, oh my gosh, good luck blocking both these dudes standpoint. But let's be real. Don't get your hopes up. It would be an awesome pairing with him and Chris Jones, but Chiefs are tight on cap space. They could make it work because he's still under contract for this year, so they can extend him and move money down the road. But the Jets are trying to contend. They're not trading Quinnen Williams to Kansas City, at least I don't think. They would have to get a haul. Like, if the Chiefs offered like 2 first-round picks, maybe they would consider it. But beyond that, I don't think the Jets move him to KC or anywhere. I think they will opt to keep him because they're trying to win with Aaron Rodgers this year. Now send in your best Quinnen Williams trade ideas. Throw them out there. How much are you willing to give up for Quinnen Williams? And if you do you then flip Chris Jones? Who knows? I mean, maybe Brett Veach would have to do that. Just keep the younger guy. I don't know. I'd like to keep them both, but just another thought that could factor in. Let's get to the latest on Frank Clark as Chris Jones continues to clamor for Clark's return to Kansas City. He's been pretty consistent posting on social media, bring the Shark back, all kinds of stuff out there over the past several days from Chris Jones. And now Frank Clark has acknowledged the post with this quote tweet there. He says, "This are shit." Had to kind of asterisk that one out. Chris Jones and Frank Clark are pretty much best friends. They're partners in crime on the defensive line. Obviously, Chris Jones wants to bring his boy back, and I certainly understand that. And look, it all comes down to money. They cut Frank Clark to save $21 million in cap space, dead cap hit of about $7 million. So if you bring him back, I don't think they're going to give him more than about $3 or $5 million because you're already paying him $7 in a sense with the dead cap hit. If you give him $5 million, you're paying him $12 million. I don't think the Chiefs are going to go higher than that allotted amount for one player of Frank Clark's caliber for the salary cap table this year because he's a good player, not a great player. Now, you could argue in the postseason he's a great player, and for a team like the Chiefs who's going to be in the postseason, that's certainly valuable. He's been a cornerstone piece in 2 Super Bowl runs. In 2019, he had 5 sacks in the playoffs. Last year, he had 2.5. I mean, he's been a guy that's made a big difference in the postseason, but the reason they cut him is his cap hit of $28 million was just never going to make sense with what he produces on a week-in and week-out basis. So we'll see where things sit. That's kind of where they sit now, but I am open to the idea of bringing him back if the money makes sense. What do you guys think? Should the Chiefs re-sign Frank Clark? Go ahead and type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Get your votes in down in the comments section below. Y for yes or in for no. Little news item here. The Chiefs have signed Kansas State UDFA Iko Boyedo. I probably botched that. I think that's about right, though. I liked watching him play in the Big 12. You guys know I'm a Big 12 guy. I watched TCU play K-State twice in person this year. He tested really well, ran around a 4.3 in the 40. Had a good workout during rookie minicamp, and now he is signed. So who knows? Maybe he competes for a roster spot, practice squad. He's got intriguing athletic traits and speed, so could be a guy you put on the P squad and further develop. Obviously local, playing at Kansas State, so certainly like to see that. And he rejoins a former teammate, Felix Eradike Uzoma. All right, that's it for today's Chiefs News and Rumors segment. Subscribe if you want more coverage here on the Chiefs Report. It's youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Let's keep this train rolling, and we'll bring you guys more videos on a daily basis. All right, should the Chiefs re-sign Frank Clark? Gecko says no. Otto says yes. Thomas says no. Dakota says no. John Campo says yes. Jeremiah says no. Tony says yes. Dallas says yes. Martin says yes, absolutely from BL. Justin says yes. I'm open to it. I'm also open to answering some questions, so let's get it popping here. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. We've got a few in there. We could certainly use a few more. If you Super Chat, you can skip to the front of the line with your donation, which we appreciate all donos, and otherwise you can use hashtag Chiefs.
It's the 60-second rule.
Yes.
If Harrison stops talking whenever I tell him to stop talking, you'll get your question on within 60 seconds if you Super Chat. If not, we've got a good chunk of questions already to get to here, so you might have to wait a little bit in the line there.
Hashtag Chiefs Super Chat. Super Chat guarantees you to get on the show. Joshua says, Uzi Clark, bring him back. Yeah, I haven't dropped the nickname. I thought it was over, but maybe Uzi Clark lives after all. Who knows? Who knows? Uzi Clark could survive another year.
Let's be real. Uzi Clark never dies.
The nickname never dies.
He lives forever.
Yes, that's a fact. So we will see if he is back or if he is not. Playoff Shark is a real thing. It is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Okay, here we go. Mailbag time, and then we'll wrap things up with one more segment after that. Chiefs Kingdom, welcome into the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. It is mailbag time, so use the hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat function to get your questions on the show, and we'll answer as many as we possibly can here on today's video. Jared Neal, what did you think of the Andy Reid New Heights episode? I'll be honest, I haven't listened to the full thing yet. I listened to some, certainly saw some of the snippets. Him making fun of Travis Kelce being used as a passer a couple of times was pretty funny. Andy Reid's great, man. Producer Sam and I got to interact with him a little bit at the Super Bowl, asked him a couple of questions, which was fun. He's an open book, so classy guy, funny guy. I just really enjoy him and hope he coaches this team for a while, because I think he's a damn good coach, and I think he's a breath of fresh air as well. Tom Bailey, which Ross has a better chance to make the 53-man roster, John or Justin? I'll go Justin, because John Ross hasn't been on a 53-man roster for, I want to say, at least 2 years. Justin Ross, yeah, the injuries, it's more boom-bust there, but if he's healthy, he's got 53-man roster talent. Like he, if he's healthy, he's worthy of being on a team. That's just the question. Can he stay healthy? We don't know. So I'll go Justin. I don't think John Ross makes the team. Tony Fuentes, we should get Frank Clark back. Tony Fuentes says, bring back the Sharks. So we'll see if Frank Clark gets brought back into the fold. I think there's room for him. I do. I've said that a couple of times. I'll say it again. I think his role would maybe have to be a little different. He'd have to understand that. Maybe he's not a full-time starter, but situational pass rusher, still a heavy rotation guy. I think Frank Clark absolutely has a role on this defense if he were to return. So we'll see if that happens. From Al Bangu, is Jadeveon Clowney? Wow, whoever this is really got me with that nickname. Al Bangu, nice. Is Jadeveon Clowney an option for Kansas City? God, I got to compose myself here. I think he could be. I mean, the same way we're talking about Frank Clark, if you want to bring in a guy who's a little bit better as an edge rusher, Jadeveon Clowney is a player that is really good against the run. Not the best pass rusher. Like, I think Frank Clark's a better pass rusher than Clowney, but he's still a good player. He's never going to live up to that number 1 overall pick. I've mentioned that a million times before, but he's still solid against the run and at times a good pass rusher as well. So I'm open to Clowney, certainly open to Clark, definitely open to bringing in another edge on this defense. You're Brett Veach for a day. What do you think? Should Kansas City sign Jadeveon Clowney? Type S for sign, P for pass, pinned comment on today's video. If you get hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down to the pinned comment and reply S for sign or P for pass. Adam Poulter, should they line McKinnon up in the slot more to get him and Pacheco on the field together? Maybe a little. I don't view McKinnon as like some dynamic slot guy. He's certainly a weapon out of the backfield, but I think that's more because he gets lined up on linebackers at running back. You put him in the slot, he's still going to get nickel backs, safeties usually. So doesn't mean it can't ever happen. I think what you could do, Adam, is you could have them both in the backfield. Mahomes and the gun, one to each side. You could go offset I formation with McKinnon or Pacheco at fullback. Remember, the Chiefs haven't signed a fullback. I think that's going to be a lot of tight end duty, Noah Gray, Blake Bell, but I think there are ways to get them both on the field. I just don't think McKinnon will play in the slot a ton. Randolph Wilkinson, can we please trade CEH for D-Hop? The Cardinals laugh in your face. Thomas, 2 early position picks for 2024 draft. 32, because the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. But if you mean literal position, maybe corner. If L'Jarius Sneed walks in free agency after this year, you'll definitely probably need a corner. You could go offensive line potentially. Edge is a possibility. Receiver could still be in the mix as well. Just depends on how some guys perform. Mander Canal, do you think the Jags are ready to compete with the likes of the Chiefs and Bengals? I don't think they're quite to that level, but I think they are going to be a consistent playoff team moving forward for a couple of reasons. One, the AFC South stinks. I'd be shocked if anyone competed with Jacksonville in that division this year. And two, they have a good quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. I wouldn't quite put him up there with Burrow and certainly not Mahomes, but he's next tier. Like, I would like tiering quarterbacks right now. It's Mahomes at the top. Burrow and Allen are right next. Rodgers, depending on what Rodgers we get. And then it's like a group of other guys, and I'd put Lawrence in there. I think he's in there with the Dax and the Jalen Hurts is certainly in that conversation now. You could even have him a little bit higher if you want. There's probably 5 to 6 more guys in that realm, and if Lawrence continues to improve, then the Jags they're going to be a factor year in and year out. Subscribe to the Chiefs Report. You can join our Chiefs mailbags live every single Monday, 4 Eastern, 3 Central time. We go live to answer your questions. So turn on your notifications after you hit that sub button. That way you know exactly when we go live. Josh Hunter, do you think Jackson Mahomes will affect Pat's mentals during the season? Well, I don't know if I've said this on the show. I'm pretty sure that Patrick had a conversation with Jackson after the prior season, because if you guys remember, we didn't hear from Jackson like at all during this past season. Now, of course, right after the season, he gets accused of sexual harassment, and then he gets arrested. I mean, just a total loser. But, if I'm Patrick, obviously it's a tough situation to be in. That's your brother. But I do think a conversation was had of like, hey, especially during the season, I don't need drama from you. So hopefully that continues. But, this recent legal thing, it's not good, man. It's not good at all. John Campo, who is going to break out season out of the rookie class this year? I hope it's Rashee Rice, man. I hope he's a big-time weapon on the outside. I think he's got the ability to do it. The Chiefs definitely took some swings in this draft. Felix, I think, is more of a safe pick. I think he'll be a solid player, first-round pick. But Wanya Morris, he could turn into a starting tackle within a year or two, or he could be out of the league. Who knows? B.J. Thompson, the edge rusher, kind of same deal. He's got an intriguing skill set, but he's very raw. Who knows what happens there? So I'll go Rashee Rice, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Freddie Martinez, should the Chiefs trade up and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. next year? Well, you're going to have to get into the top 5, I think, to do it, unless Marvin gets hurt or something this year. But I think the top of next draft is going to be quarterback heavy, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers. I think it's going to be an offensive heavy draft. I really do. So it's going to be fun to see how it plays out. From BL, what position do you think the Chiefs will look for through cap cuts and releases? I think you can add another edge. We've talked about that a lot. You could add a depth lineman if you want to go that route. You could add another defensive tackle. You're pretty deep at linebacker, maybe like a 5th backer if you wanted to, maybe another corner, but you're pretty deep there too. I mean, this roster's pretty deep across the board. Is there a surprise running back that gets cut? Then maybe you dump Edwards-Helaire and go pick up someone? Maybe. That could certainly be an option. Gecko, if the Chiefs didn't sign Donovan Smith, do you think they could have signed Isaiah Wynn? Potentially. I don't think they viewed Wynn as a starter, especially not on the left side, which I think the Chiefs came to the conclusion that they wanted to keep Jawan Taylor on the right side because that's where he's played his whole career. So they opted to go with Donovan Smith, who has 124 career starts at left tackle, and they're hoping that he gets back to pre-22 form. He struggled in 2022, but before that he was pretty solid. I won't say elite, but he was a starting caliber left tackle, no doubt about it. Light up the comments and name a random Chiefs player, current or former. Like a good example of this would be like Nick Foles. Remember Nick Foles when he was a Chief? I don't, but I know he was a Chief, so that was pretty random. That would be an example of that. Another random Chiefs player. How about like Chris Conley? There's a name drop for you guys. So random Chiefs player. Go ahead and shout one out. Got a couple more here. Justin, what do you think of our defensive line right now? I think it's good, not great. Chris Jones is great. I like the addition of Amenahue. I think Carl Loftus takes another step, but you don't have a ton of frontline guys. I think you have good starters and decent depth. So I think it's good, not great. William Wright, who was the Chiefs' union representative last season and this season? I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Producer Sam is looking this up. Nick Allegretti is what we're being told. And he's back, so I assume it would be him once again. Maybe that's why he re-signed. Who knows? Good backup guard center. Tony Fuentes, look, I'm interested in Dalvin Cook. In fact, he could fit perfectly with the team. I just don't see the Chiefs signing Cook. I can see him ending up in Dallas or Miami. Yeah, the Dolphins have been linked to him. Dallas is an interesting one. I don't think they'd trade for him, but if he were to get cut, I could see that. He could be more of their physical back next to Tony Pollard and Deuce Vaughn. But, yeah, I only think the Chiefs would have some interest is if he got cut. I don't think they'll trade for him in his contract unless he took a severe pay cut. Zez, do you think the Chiefs need another experienced receiver? I really don't right now. You can't ever have enough there. I think they'll go into the season with what they have, and if they feel like they need to make a move at the deadline, maybe they do at that point. DeAndre Hopkins could be an option at that point at the trade deadline. I'm sure there will be a couple other receivers on losing teams that could be on the move, but I think right now they're okay. Thomas 7, who has the biggest step up from last year on offense or on defense? Or do you just mean the offense or the defense? Well, the offense was number 1 in the NFL last year, so it'd be hard to take another step forward from that. But with Mahomes, you certainly could keep improving. Defense was better last year than the year before. Hopefully it continues to improve. I think the defense could be sneaky good. I mean, you played 3 rookie corners for a lot of last year. If they all take a step forward, along with L'Jarius Sneed, who's still back there, then that group could be pretty damn strong. All right, guys, appreciate your questions. If you didn't get them answered or if you have more, follow me on social media, at HGramNFL on Twitter and on Instagram. We'll answer more questions over there, and we will always look to chop things up on social and here on the show, at HGramNFL, Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All right, name a random Chiefs player. Josh Maga. Chiefs should sign Byron Pringle. Yes, bring him back. Bring him back. We should. Might have to sneak that into next week's mailbag. Bring back Byron Pringle. Matt Castle, Frank Zomba, Philip Gaines. Josh says, we love you, Harrison. Appreciate that, Josh. Carlos, you have been blocked, my friend. That's not going to happen on this channel. Let me get that blocked. Goodbye. Yeah, we're not going to have that crap in here. If anyone saw what he said, don't repeat it because you will be sent to the sun here on this channel. I can promise you that. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Had to get that handled. Here we go. One more segment to go. Chiefs trade candidates, guys that could ship out of town. We'll break that down here on Kansas City Chiefs Report. Today's Chiefs Report is presented by Manscaped. Stay nice and groomed as summer is upon us with Manscaped. Use promo code Chiefs. I just used the Beard Hedger Pro Kit, and nice and smooth. Didn't take too long either. Promo code Chiefs for 20% off plus free shipping. All right, let's jump into today's show, and that is Chiefs trade candidates. Before training camp, or really before week 1, in a couple of these cases, they could be a training camp type of trade, depending on injuries around the league. So keep that in mind as well. I've got 5 players that I think, situationally could get traded, whether they're not going to make this roster or if they don't want to pay them, etc. It could be a different reason for a different player, but going to go through them here on today's show. The first one is a name we've talked about a lot, and that is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back, because I just think that, this is a guy who is RB3 at this point, right? I mean, the production and the role has declined. His rookie year, there was a lot of promise, and you're like, okay, 800 yards in a more passing-heavy offense, 4 touchdowns. All right, let's be a 1,000-yard back the next year. Well, more injuries popped up. Played in just 10 games. 4 touchdowns, but only 517 yards. This past year, role diminished, injury again, only 302 yards and 3 touchdowns. And part of the conversation, too, has just been the emergence of Isaiah Pacheco, who was given the starting role midway through the year before CEH got hurt. That's relevant here, too. It's not like CEH got hurt and Pacheco just ran with the job. No, they named Pacheco the starter, then CEH got hurt. You brought back Jarrett McKinnon. I like Deneric Prince as a UDFA that could make this team. And if you can trade CEH, it saves you almost $2.1 million, which isn't a ton, but it's not nothing either for a team like the Chiefs, where every dollar is going to count for year after year after year when you're in this win-now window with high-paid players. So, if there's a team out there that would give you a 7th-round pick for CEH, it's not even really about the draft compensation. It's more about clearing out the cap space. Now, if he's on this team and has a decent role as an RB3, that's fine. But I just don't think he's here for the long haul, like I think this would be his last year in Kansas City. So if you could trade him, I would definitely be open to that. Will Clyde Edwards-Helaire be on Kansas City's roster in Week 1? Simple yes or no question. Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. My gut keeps telling me he won't be, that he's going to get moved at some point. Y for yes, in for no. Let me know what you guys think. Now, our next player is going to be offensive lineman here. That is Lucas Niang. You look at the depth chart with that addition of Donovan Smith, and it's just one of those deals where you're just kind of like, okay, you signed Donovan Smith. Andy Reid comes out and says he's probably going to be a starter at left tackle and that Juwan Taylor will be at right tackle. Well, what does that tell us? Well, one of two things, or a combination of both. One, they're high on Donovan Smith as a starter, and they'd rather keep Juwan Taylor at right. I do think that part's true regardless. Two, the Chiefs may not like Lucas Niang. They may not be high on him, or maybe his injury recovery isn't to the level of what they had hoped. Because remember, in 2021, he was a serviceable starter at right tackle for about half the year, tears his pec, takes him over a year to get back, ended up being a backup late last year after he came off PUP and IR. But you go out and sign Donovan Smith, that kind of tells me that they're not super high on Niang at this point, that they don't think his potential is that great. So, I thought he could be a starter, but if they're going to keep Taylor at right tackle, he's a backup, because I don't think Niang can flip and play left. So maybe you get a day 3 draft pick and just move on. This has been a guy who's just not been available. He was a COVID opt-out in 2020, got hurt second half of 21, served as primarily as a backup last year, and now he's not projected to be a starter. So that's kind of where we sit with Lucas Niang. They may not be that high on him, even though at one point I think they did like his potential. Now, you may not be that high on Lucas Niang, but I'll tell you what, you need to be high on Manscaped, because the Performance Package 4.0 is the perfect bundle as we approach summertime, because you're going to keep your pubes down there nice and trim with the Lawnmower 4.0, which leads this bundle. You also get the nose and ear hair trimmer. That is the Weed Whacker 2.0. I had a couple of just brutal ingrown hairs there. I was able to clean that up this weekend when I also shaved the beard with the Beard Hedger, separate product, but you should go check that out at Manscaped. You get the boxers. You get the crop gel, which is going to keep things nice and smooth downstairs as well. Promo code Chiefs, 20% off when you go to manscaped.com. Just over $100 this bundle, and really you're saving almost like $50, because when you buy all these products separately, it adds up to over $150. So take advantage. Promo code Chiefs at manscaped.com. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Their motto is "We save balls." You want to keep your balls safe this summertime, and hey, if you use Manscaped, you might be able to put those balls to action, if you know what I'm saying. All right, here we go. L'Jarius Sneed is the next trade candidate here on today's show. And don't freak out. Don't, hey, cancel Harrison. Let's just take a breath here. The reason I mention him is a couple things. One, your depth is pretty good at corner. Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Josh Williams all played well as rookies, and they've got 3 more years of team control, 4 in McDuffie's case, because he was a first-round pick, 5th-year option there. You just drafted Nick Jones, who I think has potential to at least make this roster. Najee Johnson was on the roster last year, so you've got guys there. And 2, while L'Jarius Sneed is your best corner still, let's not get that twisted. You look at what he did last year. He's very good. 11 breakups. He's always been a great tackler. They use him as a blitzer sometimes. 3.5 sacks, 3 picks, 3 forced fumbles. He's the Swiss Army knife. He does everything. He's probably the best player in the secondary as a whole. The question you have for Brett Veach is, will he pay L'Jarius Sneed? They didn't pay Charvarius Ward a couple of off seasons ago. If Brett Veach doesn't have a contract for L'Jarius Sneed budgeted, then maybe you consider trading him. What if a team is willing to give you a first-round pick or even a second-round pick? I'm not looking to trade Sneed, but Is there a scenario where I would at least consider it? I think there is. Now, again, that would be a big blow for this year's team, but he's going to command 12, 13, 14, maybe even $15 million with a strong year here in 2023 per year. I mean, Charvarius Ward got 3 for 42, and I think Snead has more versatility. So keep that in mind as well. What should Kansas City do with L'Jarius Snead? If they can budget it, I'd pay him. Type P for pay. But if you think it's too much money, type T for trade. You got those young corners for a reason. Maybe you feel comfortable with Williams and McDuffie and Jalen Watson, Nick Jones, and the rest of those guys. So something to consider. P for pay, T for trade. I would like to keep him in town, but I'm not Brett Veach. He traded Tyreek Hill after all. Next up is Michael Adana, another similar situation but on a lesser realm. A guy who's on the last year of his rookie contract. I kind of put him in the category of where like a Colin Saunders was, right? Good player, was good last year. I would have liked to bring him back, but ultimately kind of a C-level free agent that got priced out, signed with New Orleans. I could see Dana being similar, where a team next year, if he has a decent year this year, throws like $4 or $5 million per year, and the Chiefs are like, we can't pay that for a role player because of their salary cap situation. Final year of his deal. Now, I like Dana, but he's not a starter. He's a rotational pass rusher. Had 5 sacks last year. Has 10.5 in 43 career games over 3 seasons. He's been a good role player. He really has. This has been a nice Brett Veach day 3 find. In the draft a few years ago, but he could be a guy that, hey, what if a team throws you 4th, 5th round pick for him, and you're like, well, we're not going to re-sign him anyway. What if you re-sign Frank Clark and trade Dana for a 5th? That's something that could be on the table. So just something to keep in mind. I like Dana as a rotation guy, but he's not going to make or break your defense. He's probably a guy that gets priced out next offseason if he has another 4 or 5 sack season. So just another reason to kind of get ahead of the curve. Maybe you're like, you know what, we're not bringing him back. We'll take a 5th and we'll just move on. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to the Chiefs Report. If they sign a player, cut a player, make a trade, we got you covered here on this YouTube channel. So subscribe, turn on those notifications. That way you never miss a video here on the Chiefs Report. One final name I'll just throw in, Austin Ryder, who's kind of a fringe 53 guy. You wouldn't get a lot, but say in training camp, right? Team suffers an injury at center. Well, Austin Ryder has some experience, so he could be a guy that a team could bring in as a quality backup or even a guy who could start on a short-term basis. It would be one of those trades where here's a conditional 7th or something like that, right? You're not going to get a ton for him because he might even make your 53, but we see this all the time during camp. Team suffers injury, they trade a 7th-round pick for a guy who may not even make a team for another team, but they don't want to risk that player hitting waivers and not being able to pick him up. So Austin Ryder could fit that realm. Okay, name a player that the Chiefs should trade down in the comments below. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is certainly the popular one, but we went through some other ones here. Let me know what you guys think. And be sure to subscribe, like we said, videos on a daily basis, news, rumors. If a player gets traded, cut, signed, we're going to cover it here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. So subscribe, turn on those notifications. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. We will continue to plug out daily content around your Kansas City Chiefs. All right, a couple of shout-outs here, and then we will sign off. Lewis says, I'd rather have Clowney than Clark. It's a tough one. I think Clowney might be a slightly better player, but Clark's been here so long and has some leadership for this roster that is under consideration. DB says I'd rather have Carlos Dunlap than Clark. Disagree. Clark in the playoffs is just a far superior player. Far superior player. He just means more to what this team has been the last few years. Is the Chiefs' philosophy of letting virtually every free agent walk and expecting Veach to draft replacements to the most sustainable model for the team? Well, I don't think you let everyone walk, but you have to pick and choose. When you have a high-paid quarterback and other high-paid players, you have to pick and choose which guys you pay and which guys you let walk. I would say letting Charvarius Ward walk was a good decision. Not because he wasn't good. He was good in San Francisco, but you draft Trent McDuffie, good player. You draft Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, who you think are just going to be depth guys. They end up starting a lot of the year, so that worked out. Now, you got to draft well, and for the most part, Veach has done that. He's certainly had some misses, but he has found some gems, especially on day 3. He's really found some hidden gems there. I'm DeBrown with the super chat before we get out of here. I agree with you, by the way, here. Trade Harrison G without a beard for Harrison G with the beard. I'm definitely a beard guy.
Well, then where is the beard then?
I'm definitely a beard guy. Listen, eventually you got to mix it up. It's hot as it's getting hot as hell here. I needed a trim. I probably went heavier on the trim than I expected, but it'll be back. You guys know me. I'm not going to be a clean-shaven guy forever. I can promise you that. All right, I think we're out of here. Sam, any parting words? Go Stars, Game 7. We're pulling for the boys in green tonight.
Go Stars. No one noticed here, but I shaved 2 this morning. I just don't have the beard of the Geico caveman.
Yeah, listen.
It's a good look. It's a good look, Harrison.
Not all beards are created equal.
That is correct. That's very accurate.
All right, we'll be pulling for the Stars tonight. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Shout out to everybody who sent in a question. We'll see you guys soon with another episode of the Chiefs Report.